Christmas is just around the corner and I've already purchased no gifts. So I thought it was time to look for some best practices in gift giving based on psychological science, and I have a feeling procrastination is not one of them. As it turns out, psychologists have done a lot of research on what kinds of gifts people appreciate the most. And what's interesting is that the kinds of gifts we think people will like as gift givers turn out not to necessarily be the kinds of things that people actually really truly appreciate the most as gift recipients. Let's start with a simple example, which is that you should probably ask someone what they want before you buy them a gift. I know, it's revolutionary, but let's look at the evidence. Research shows that people tend to appreciate gifts more when it's something that they explicitly asked for, compared to when it was something that the gift giver came up with him or herself. And here's one of those weird mismatches where gift givers usually assume that the recipients won't care one way or another. Oh, sure, you told me you want these things, but you really don't care what I get you. You'll be just as happy if I come up with my own horrible idea. So the advice here is pretty obvious. Ask people what they want and don't assume you can come up with something good all by yourself. And here's another pro tip that comes from research in psychology. If you're the gift recipient in this scenario, ask for one thing. Don't give someone a whole list of things that you might want, because what happens, as the studies show, is that gift givers get your list and they go, oh, well, if they list all of these things, then it must mean that they don't care exactly what it is that they get, and I'm just as good at picking something for them as whatever is on their list. But when you put only one thing on your wish list, the gift giver gets the hint and realizes that this must be the thing you really want, and everybody's happy at the end. There's another distinction to be made in gift giving, though, that is between recipient-focused gifts and giver-focused gifts. Recipient-focused gifts are the kinds of things that express something about the person who you're giving the gift to. Something that says, I know you, I know what you like, this will be something that's tailored perfectly to who I think you are. On the opposite side, giver-focused gifts are things that express something about yourself. If I buy you my favorite book for Christmas, that would be a giver-focused gift. I'm trying to give something of myself to you, share with you something that I find really interesting. When you ask people to predict what kind of gift they'll prefer, a lot of times people say recipient-focused gifts. Those feel the most special. After all, you thought of me. You had to bring me to mind when you were in the store. And so we think we prefer recipient-focused gifts. But what the evidence seems to show is that giver-focused gifts actually strengthen relationships and bring people closer. It forms a more unique connection. And so the advice to you is think about something about yourself that you can impart to another person. Don't make it selfish and braggy, but make it something that expresses something of you in the gift that you're giving to another person. The third piece of advice that comes from psychological research is something that I'm worried is going to strike too deep a chord and result in angry comments below this video, which is that you can feel free to re-gift stuff. I know, it seems like a faux pas, but some of the psychological evidence seems to say that it doesn't hurt people's feelings as much as we think it will. This is another one of those weird asymmetries between what gift givers feel and what gift receivers feel. When we receive a gift, we couldn't dare think about passing that along to someone else. It makes us feel really guilty. But as gift givers, what the evidence seems to show is if you ask people, how hurt would you be, for instance, if someone were to re-gift something that you gave them, people are less bothered by it than we often think they will be. After all, we give gifts so that people can do with them what they want, so it can help them, give them something. And if it happens to be the case that what it helps them do is give a gift to another person, then what's the problem? Everything is fine. Anyway, those are just 3 examples from gift-giving psychology. And what's interesting is that all 3 of them highlight how bad we are at giving gifts. The kinds of things we think people are going to appreciate aren't the same things that they appreciate, and the kinds of things that we think are going to be problems, like regifting, aren't actually hurting people's feelings as much as we think they are. So let's drop it all, and repeat the mantra, it's the thought that counts, and give it up already. Maybe I won't buy any presents this year. Maybe I'll just take a stand and not buy any presents at all. I don't think that's a good idea. See you next time. For more social psychology, subscribe to this YouTube channel, or go to beapeopleexpert.com and find new articles every week about psychological science.